Okay, so the last thing that we're going to cover here is special solutions. Special solutions happen when you are thinking about your problem and you end up saying something like no. Okay? Now, we have another possible special solution, and that is when you get all real numbers. And this is when you say something like, yes, always. Okay? Now, I'm going to review the special solutions with equations. So the first example is, and when you stop and think about this question, you say no, this is not possible. And that means that the answer is no solution. Okay. So when we do something like this, we say yes, can distance be 0? And here the answer is yes. Is that always true? No, it's only going to be true when we split and solve. Now what happens is -0 and 0 are actually the same thing. And so in this particular example, when our distance is 0, we actually only end up with one solution at x equals 3. Okay, so that's a little bit of the special solutions with equations. So now let's look at our inequalities. Okay, x minus 3 is, we'll do less than -2. All right, so let's stop and think. Can the distance be less than -2? No, distance cannot be less than -2 because this is going to be a positive outcome. So because the distance cannot be less than -2, this is a no solution. All right, so now let's try this one. Let's say less than 0. Okay, so let's stop and think. Can distance be less than 0? Can distance be less than 0? That's a negative outcome, so the answer is no. So no solution, because whatever I get here is going to have a positive outcome, so that won't work. So let's look at one more potential here. Can distance be less than or equal? Yes. Not always. It would depend on x. So split and solve. Okay, so split and solve. Add 3. So I know this is kind of interesting looking, but let's go ahead and shade this on a number line. X is between. It's the same endpoint, and so this inequality actually ends up having just a single number as the solution. Okay, so those were our less thans. Notice that we compared to a negative number and 0. So now we're going to change to the greater thans, and we're going to do some more comparisons. Okay, can this be greater than or greater than -2? Can distance be greater? Yes, always, because this is going to be a positive. So this is an example that comes out to be all real numbers. Okay, so let's try this one. Okay, can distance, okay, be more than, is distance going to be more than 0? Yes, always. So this is an example that has all real numbers. All right. So now let's try this. Can distance be greater than or equal to 0? Oh, wait. I made one mistake. Oh, gotta think harder. Maybe because there's a potential for this distance to be equal to 0. So what I need to do is split and solve, maybe. So we do x minus 3 split to the left of the left endpoint to the right of the right endpoint. Oh, so the number line actually ends up with almost everything except 3. Okay, so now let's do this last one. What about, this is the one that is yes, always. And so this is the one that gets all real numbers. Good job.